Good morning and a good vach, a Shavua Tov, a good week to everybody. Welcome to Mystical Teachings from the Tanya. Rabbi Ronnie Fine coming to you from Chabad Zichron Kadeshim in Montreal, Canada. It's a privilege and a pleasure to share with you the Tanya as we begin a new round of learning. This is very exciting. Say good morning to Diane in London, Ontario. Thank you for joining. Clem in Brisbane, where it must be 1:30 a.m. Whoa. Devoted to Tanya. You are. Freeman from Plano, Texas. Good vach. Welcome. Robin, good morning to you. Deborah in Brazil, good morning. Erica in Norway, good afternoon. And Susan is with us in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Irma in St. Martin, welcome. Andrea in Phoenix, great. Elma, good morning. And Eugenia is from Calgary, a fellow Canadian. Wow, that's amazing, Eugenia. Third cycle with us. Beautiful. Thank you. Stan in London, England. Good afternoon. Welcome. Chaim in Monterrey, Mexico. Good morning. And Denise and Linda, sisters, study together. In New York, Shavua Tov. Margot, also in New York. Good morning. Roberto in Pirna, Germany. Welcome. Manuela, also in Germany. All right, look at that. 2 in a row from Germany. Stuart is in Vegas. Welcome. And good morning. Hello to George in South Florida. Balanit in Debrecen in Hungary. Okay, greetings. Richard Ruvain in Texas. Thank you for joining. And also in Texas, Tina is with us. Aliza, good morning. Alina in Kiev. Wow, beautiful. Jeff in West Hartford. Boker Tov. Mary Claire. Shavua Tov. Tommy in Michigan. Ener. Shavua Tov. Rina in Colorado. Excited to begin. Yes, so am I. Thank you. And Isra. Shavua Tov. Good morning. Welcome, and a good Yom Tov, a wonderful holiday. As we begin a new cycle, we are celebrating Yutes Chav Kislev, the 19th and the 20th of Kislev, the day that the Alter Rebbe is released from prison, marks a holiday because this is not just something that happened to him personally, but as a result of his personal release, that meant that the teachings of Hasidus would be disseminated to even greater heights, as it's called Noch Petersburg, after Petersburg, that the teachings are in the instructions of the Baal Shem Tov, the Mezritcher Magid, that came to him in prison, that you should disseminate the teachings to a greater degree. So that's what we're holding. Now that we've taught this more than once, we need to disseminate into greater way, as these are the teachings that will bring the final redemption. These are the teachings that will bring greater light in places of darkness, and therefore we're committed to it. I'm committed, and everybody here, so many of you have been learning before. Oh, Tina, Mazel Tov, her birthday today. Great thing to do is to learn. Beautiful. So, to disseminate the teachings more than ever before. And it's a day to make resolutions in the teachings of Hasidus for ourselves personally and beyond ourselves, and how we can take the teachings and bring it to others. Because the Baal Shem Tov said in his Aliyas HaNeshama, his soul that went up to the Heichel of Mashiach, to the chamber of Mashiach, and he asked Mashiach, when are you coming? When is the Master going to come? And he responded, when you will disseminate the well springs outwardly, that's when he will come. So outwardly means outwardly in us, meaning it's not just a feel-good and inspirational moment, but that we take from the inspiration and we bring it outward, and it changes ultimately our behavior. That's the chutza, that's the outside of me. In other words, I have the heart, I have the mind that understands, and the heart that feels. That's the inner me. The inner me has to now be reflected in the outer me. The outer me is ultimately thought, speech, and action. Because that's the most external thing of me. Feelings are inside. Mind and perspective is inside. Behavior, and especially action, but action, speech, and thought, is the outer of me. So we need to take the teachings and bring it to the outside of me, and then we can't allow it to only remain on my exterior, my outside. That should reflect my deeper inside, but it should be also, in the literal sense, that we take the teachings, disseminate, and bring it to as many people as we can. Whether it's we share the class, whether it is we express some of the teachings to others to inspire, to empower them, and give them that inner strength, whatever it takes. That's part of the resolution. So today's a good day to make resolutions, resolves, perhaps even write them into the Rebbe. And that will make a real change. Excuse me one moment. Just all right. So we are in the beginning. The truth is, yesterday was Yutes Kislev, which was the title page, which I'll give it over briefly. The Alter Rebbe says, he calls the book of Likutei Amarim, one name he gives it, which means a compilation of teachings, of sayings. In his humility, he is saying that, all I'm doing is compiling from others. Excuse me. But then he calls it, part one is entitled Sefer Shel Beinani, the book of the intermediate. Intermediate is called a Beinani, in between the righteous and the wicked. As we will learn that righteous is complete mastery over the entirety of the human, of all human dimensions, not just your behavior, but even your heart and mind. The righteous have complete mastery. We'll learn about that in chapter 10. And we'll see that what we think is righteous is far and above beyond our imagination. The wicked, Rasha, is someone who allows negativity to control them. And in that we'll see there's two dimensions to that, two basic dimensions. And the Beinani, it's a Sefer Shel Beinani, the book of the intermediate, and this is what we're all trying to strive, that we can have self-mastery over our behavior, over our actions, our speech, and even our thought, because thought is also, in Jewish teachings, part of behavior. And the Alter Rebbe says this is compiled, again, in his very humble manner, that it's compiled from sacred books. What are the sacred books? Primarily, several sacred books, but primarily Maimonides, the Rambam, the Maharal from Prague, and the Shalosh, Shnei Luchos HaBris, Rabbi Horowitz, from those three books specifically. And from teachers of heavenly saintliness. Who are those teachers? The Baal Shem Tov, founded the Hasidic movement, and the Mezritcher Maggid, whose yahrzeit is also on the 19th of Kislev, the day that the Alter Rebbe is released from prison. Actually, he's told the Alter Rebbe that this will be our holiday, our special day, many years before he was released from prison. So those, the Mezritcher Maggid, who is his Rebbe, whose souls are in Eden, and is based on one verse in the book of Deuteronomy. For this thing, meaning this thing, what's this thing? Torah mitzvahs, relationship with God, being who we need to be, is very near to you. Where? In your mouth, behavior, your speech. In your heart, which has a double meaning over here, which we'll get into much more later in chapters 17 and 18. Heart meaning thought, because you think about those things you feel. Just dealing with an individual who has a very heavy heart and challenges in certain things. And because of that, that's all he can think about. We all experience that. So what's in your heart becomes what's your thoughts, your innermost being. So it means both feelings and thoughts, which we'll learn more about later. The nuanced meaning in that you may do it, which is action. So we have speech, thought, and action. Those are the three garments of self-expression that we are trying to gain mastery over. And this will be clearly shown to us how this is exceedingly near in both a lengthy and short way. With the aid of the Holy One, blessed be He. Lengthy way, we will see, is lengthy in that you have to really own your relationship with God and your understanding of God, that it will penetrate inside of you to your heart and then bring you to the appropriate behavior that is in alliance and connection with God. And the short way is by finding your divine soul within you that's already has a hidden love for God, and just reveal it. In the sense short. That'll be chapters 18 through 25. We'll deal with that the short way. Lengthy explanation, a short way to get there. Before that, we'll deal with the long way on how to use your mind. And that will be basically chapters through 17, chapter 17. That's in brief. And there's the approbations. We'll go into that. The Alter Rebbe begins today's class for the 20th of Kislev, the compiler's note. Again, in his humility, all he's calling himself is a compiler. Compiler means you're taking from various places and putting it together. But as we will learn, the Alter Rebbe's teachings are so novel that that's why he was imprisoned. Because was the world ready for these novel teachings? Even though the Baal Shem Tov introduced Hasidic teachings, and the Mezritcher Magid, his successor, continued with those teachings, and so did the students of the Magid, they're called Talmidei HaMagid, were sent out to various posts throughout Eastern Europe in particular, but throughout, in order to disseminate the teachings. None of them were in prison. None of them was there a decree against their teachings. Only the Alter Rebbe. Because the Alter Rebbe took the teachings to a whole new level of disseminating the mystical teachings in a manner ready for the masses to understand, not merely to accept on faith, not merely to have a master, a teacher, a Rebbe, who would, kind of inspire you and give you, a inspiration. And as long as you hold on to the coattails of your master, your Rebbe, you will, be dragged together with him. Chabad brought it to a new level. That it's not about the inspiration. It's about the perspiration. It's about owning it, making it yours. But how can you make something yours? It's only when you understand it. And it becomes real for you. The teachings become so real for you that it's your ownership. That is the uniqueness of Chabad. And that was on trial. And again, of course, exonerated and to disseminate. So, the Alter Rebbe says in his foreword, he is going to make the argument for the book, of why he's writing this book. And he begins that this is writing to all of the members of our fellowship, the Chassidim, giving them blessings. And he says, listen to me, you who pursue righteousness, who seek God. Whether you're spiritually great or small, doesn't matter. The fact that you're seeking truth, you're seeking God, you're seeking a connection, speaking to, and may each achieve peace and eternal life, he says. So he says that brings down from the well-known saying that there's no comparison between hearing words of moral guidance from a teacher than from reading it in a book. So his first argument is against the book, because hearing from the teacher, is much greater than reading it in the book. Why are so many of you following online this way? Is because if you read it yourself, as so many have read Tanya on their own, It's difficult. It's challenging. But when you have a teacher, now, here, the ultimate teacher would be the Alter Rebbe, right? Who is ultimately teaching us. But having the teacher teach it is much greater. And he makes the argument. What is the argument? Because the person who's reading it is in a dark place. Because we're all kind of in a dark place for our own divine service, right? That we can't find, we're confused, and therefore it's difficult to seek the light that's hidden in a book, right? The book does not allow for subjective differences between one reader versus another reader. One reader has a certain character, another reader has another character. And therefore, to find the hidden truth there for each individual according to what their needs are, it's really hard. Really hard. So that's the first argument that he makes, again, against the book. Today we're all going to have those arguments against the book. Tomorrow we'll continue the arguments for the book. But then he goes further. And even in that's the person. But how about the book itself? Well, the book itself, there's two different kind of, Torah books. There's Torah books that are based on teaching pious conduct, that are based on human intelligence. Right? So surely then, that won't affect all readers equally, because everybody is different. And if it's based on human intelligence, well, that person who wrote the book trying to give guidance in life will not be able to help in a diverse manner. Why? Because that person themselves is only of a certain quality, a certain character, a certain perspective on life. And therefore, it'll talk to some people who are sort of the same, come out of, woven of the same cloth. But someone else won't. Even in the second category, which comprises holy teachings of our sages, so therefore they are not just of human intelligence, but they're based on Torah and the teachings of the sages. At first glance, it's also going to be difficult and problematic for a person to really gain from learning from a book rather than from a teacher. Because the subjective differences between teachers here might be irrelevant because it's based on Torah. But that being said, me as the individual who is learning this and now can speak to a wide range of people, how am I going to find my place? That will be the difficulty. In other words, even when it comes to Jewish law, which is revealed godliness in the sense that it is clear-cut, permissible, not permissible, kosher, not kosher, pure, impure. So the distinctions are clear. That being said, the distinctions are clear, meaning Torah law, the fact that Hillel and Shammai adjudicated law differently, and both are the words of God, but yet both are revealing through their soul the adjudication based on the uniqueness of their soul quality. So Hillel comes from chesed, kindness, And Shammai comes from Gvura, from severity. So Chesed will be more embracing and therefore is finding things that are more permitted. Or Gvura will find things that are less permitted, right? And even then, what we see is in Jewish law that there's a distinction and there's many opinions. In other words, there's a variety, and even then it might be hard to find your place in Jewish law. Now, of course, you need a rabbi to help you with that. But the point is that even when it comes to the do's and the don'ts, it's not so simple. It's not so obvious to find your path in Jewish teachings. Here in this book that we're talking about, it's not about the do's and the don'ts. It's about my heart. It's about my soul. It's about my mind. It's about things that are much deeper. It's not just about, do I do this, not do that? It's about, who am I? What is the makeup of my soul? What is my relationship with God? What is my perspective on understanding the world? Well, that's a deep spiritual thing. That to read a book and to be able to find how it talks to me and how it's supposed to guide me, that's truly difficult. And therefore, it would seem that it'd be better to have your Rebbe, your teacher, to teach you personally, to have your private audience with him, that he's the one who's going to help to guide you in those inner workings of the heart, the inner workings of my soul, to find the path that I need to go on. Because that is the hidden things that are very challenging and difficult. All an argument of why the book Tanya may not be sufficient. So then, of course, why did he write the book? I'll have to come back tomorrow to find out. But what I can tell you is that we're lucky that we can have both things because verbally we're expressing it. And, we're online together to learn it. And by expressing it and trying to teach it and learn it together, we have that benefit too. So folks, I want to wish everybody a good Yom Tov. The Rebbe Rashab, the fifth Lubavitcher Rebbe, said that this is Chag HaChagim, the holiday of all holidays, the greatest holiday of all. Wow. Greater than Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Pesach, that we became a people, Shavuos, we got the Torah. So, yeah, it is. Because it is these teachings that's going to lead us to the final redemption. It is these teachings that's going to change the world for good. The Torah that was given at Mount Sinai, it's there, but it's hidden. Now it's revealed. And now the Alter Rebbe release from prison that we celebrate is that it's to be revealed to everyone. And that's our duty, is to take these teachings and to make it accessible to everyone. The world is ready, and they need me, they need you, they need each and every single one of us, that we disseminate the teachings, because we're the soldiers, the foot soldiers of the Alter Rebbe, of our Rebbe, to finally do what we're mandated to do, and the ultimate purpose is to reveal God in this world in such a manner, in such a way that it's real. And that's what these teachings do. And when it comes real for us, then we have a chance to make it real for others, to really change the world for good. So, a good Yom Tov, a wonderful Yom Tov. And I really want to say, I thank you all. That many of you have been learning together for a while, a long time, some of you, and you continue, devote yourself. This is the greatest gift that we've been given. And the Alter Rebbe had to go to prison, had self-sacrifice to give us all of this. And we should use it well for our lives and to share it with others. A good yontif to everybody, and maybe written and sealed for a year of studying together, following the path of Chassidus, and to truly joining together and changing the world and to bring the redemption, bring Mashiach now. Have a wonderful day.